Merry meet and welcome to the Witch's Cauldron. My name's Paula. Today's video is my last on the series for tarot. For now, I will start the individual card meetings, more in-depth videos about individual card meetings here in the very near future. But this is the last one in this series that I've been doing. And today's subject is tarot ethics. And you're probably thinking, like, what do you mean, tarot ethics? When you start doing readings for other people, you have to treat that session almost like you are giving them counsel, because usually they're seeking answers to a question that's bothering them or a certain situation that's given them some concern. So you have to have a little bit of tact and diplomacy when you start doing readings for other people. And what I mean with that, I don't mean sugarcoat what the cards are telling you, okay? I am a very plain spoken reader when I do readings for other people. And I warn them about that. It's like, unless you tell me to pull the punches, that you don't want to hear anything bad, I'm going to give you the good, the bad, the ugly, and the terrifying, okay? I will, however, in very sensitive cases, like if the cards are showing me that there's, cheating going on in a relationship, that there's some really, nefarious things going on in a certain situation, or if I am seeing that the person has got a health issue that needs immediate attention, I want to present that information in a way that they can, one, hear what I am telling them, and two, accept what I am telling them. I don't want to bash them over the head. It's a lot easier to say, the cards are showing me that there could be a serious health concern, and then prompt them, do you have some health concerns going on right now? Are you concerned about anything? And if they say no, and you pull more clarifiers for that health clarification, there are cards that are associated with particular parts of the body, whether it's, the head, the chest, your lymphatic system, etc., etc., etc. The cards can give you an idea of where there can be an issue. Point in case is, I did a reading several years ago for a friend of mine, and it came up in there that she had been ignoring something in the chest area, and my intuition was drawing me along the line that I was getting the impressions from the cards and from my intuition that she might have breast cancer or have something going on with her breasts. And rather than coming out saying, girl, you got breast cancer and you need to get your ass to the hospital, I said, have you been neglecting any of your routine tests that you should be having? And she's like, well, I haven't had a mammogram done in 5 years, and this and that and the other. And the way that I presented the information to her was, you need to go and get your tests done as soon as possible. Don't delay taking care of your health. And sure enough, her mammogram came back that she had breast cancer. But if I had presented it in a way that said, you have breast cancer, she would have shut down and would not have been able to handle that kind of information, getting it hit over the head with it. Okay? But because I told her to not ignore her routine physical exam and her routine health monitoring and health concerns, it prompted her to go and have a mammogram done. And then, sure enough, she got that diagnosis. But she had the information presented to her in a way that she could hear it and accept it. So there are some ways, while I don't want you to lie, you need to have a little bit of tact and diplomacy when it comes to presenting really earth shattering kind of information that the cards are telling you. Okay? Have a little bit of compassion and humanity in the way that you present this kind of information. It can be very, very devastating. You need to also not force your opinions or your interpretations on the querent. Okay? If, as in the first case, if she didn't want to hear that, I shouldn't try and shove it down her throat. There is only so much that I can do as a reader. I can give them the best advice that I can. It is up to the querent to then take that information, do what they will with it. If they don't do anything with it, then that is on them, and the universe will teach them the lesson that they need to learn through that experience. But don't try and force the way that you think or what you would do and force your opinions down their throat. You can lead them to a conclusion. You can point things out to them, but you cannot make the decision for them if it's outside their ability to, one, want to listen, or two, to comprehend what's really going on. Okay? The next thing is, and this goes in with the first one, you need to be kind and courteous. And like I said, there are certain ones of my clients that I can have a little bit more lackadaisical style with because I have read for them for years. We are friends on the outside, okay? We're not just reader and client, that kind of relationship. I'm their friend so that I can, because I'm their friend, I can have a little bit more relaxed style. But when you're first reading for someone, you have to establish your relationship with the querent, okay? And you don't want to just come and hit them upside the head. You want to be kind of kind and courteous. Most of us, if you walk up to a stranger and you say, "Oh, hello, how are you doing?" You bump into someone, you say, "Oh, excuse me." You have a little bit of common tact and courtesy, and that's what you need to do with your readings. After you've built an established relationship and you know and understand more your relationship with that querent, you can kind of relax things a little bit better and have a more laid back style, a more direct style. I'm not going to say blunt, but a more direct style that if you need to get a point across to them, that you can be a little more direct. But remember, at the end of the day, there's another human being on the other end of that reading, and you need to take their feelings and their belief systems and their philosophies into consideration, okay? Be kind and be courteous. Another thing you want to do, you want to respect the privacy of who you are reading for. In other words, I gave a broad example of, several years ago doing a reading for someone. I didn't give you their name. I didn't give you any more particulars. It was an example, okay? I did not divulge the particulars of the rest of the reading. My point was to then give you a frame of reference of how to present information to someone. But you don't know who she is. You don't know what her age is. You have no idea where she lives or anything like that. I speak about my experience in very, very broad, high-level terms, and I never refer to a client by their name or by any other identifying factor where someone would be able to tell who they are. Okay, that is not good at all, and it really diminishes your presence as a reader if you do something like that. Even if you're talking to, a friend of yours that happens to know someone that you're doing a reading for. Oh, well, I did a reading for so and so, and girl, you won't believe this. Her husband's cheating on her, and da 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 da, and this card and that card and something else, and all the swords fell out, and blah blah blah. No, don't do that. If that querant, if the table was reversed, and if that querant was doing a reading for you and then gave you that kind of information, like, oh, your spouse is cheating on you, here's what the cards are showing me, and then went and ran their mouth to a mutual friend, then that mutual friend would call, you would no longer have any kind of trust in that reader to do a reading for you again, because it's essentially office gossip when you do stuff like that. Okay, so keep that in mind. Another thing to keep in mind is do not read for others if you are not emotionally and physically able to do so. Okay, so if you are sick, if you're pissed off, if you're very, very depressed, any time that your energy is really off, that you're not feeling well, you haven't slept for days on end, etc., 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 or if you have problems of your own that are bothering you, keep in mind that that energy that you possess for whatever is going on can bleed into your reading. Okay, so please do not read for others if you are emotionally or physically sick. Okay, and I mean just off kilter. And any large, swings of emotion, anything like that, don't read for others if you are going through something like that, or if you are physically ill, or if you are altered, if you're on some kind of medication like a pain management medication that makes you kind of loopy or a little groggy. I know that I never read for anybody when I have a migraine or when I have taken a migraine medication. Number one, they make me loopy. Number two, they're mild narcotics. And I just don't do anything like that. I don't do any psychic readings. I don't do any kind of contact with spirit of any sort when I am taking medications that can alter my mind, okay, have a mood or mind altering effect on me. So none of that. Never, and please, for God's sakes, never, ever, ever read for someone when you are under, or they are under the influence. And I mean under the influence of, anything from alcohol to, don't do it with even, I don't do it with people who have taken marijuana, and kind of in that little bit of, yo, dude, kind of attitude. If anyone has done stuff to like alter their mood or anything like that, I don't read for them, okay? Because I'm not getting a proper energy reading from them when they have done something to alter their mood other than taken like prescribed medications for depression or something like that. I don't read for them if they've done any kind of, illegal substances, done any kind of cannabis other than, like edibles or something that doesn't have like a lot of THC in it and stuff. And I'll do it for somebody that does the CBD without the THC in it. But if they've done something where their mood or their energy is off, I don't read for them. So, we'll reschedule when, things aren't so clouded for you right now. It is extremely important that you, as a reader, are not doing all the talking. You also have to be a good listener. You also have to be able to pick up on body language and body cues, okay? If somebody's sitting here like this, they are closed off. They don't want to hear what you have to say. It doesn't matter, okay? If you know that someone that you read for routinely is a hypochondriac, keep that in mind, okay? Because you can send them off into never land with worry that they have 15,000 illnesses that aren't necessarily at play, okay? Do not use your abilities, and this goes for, your abilities if you're a psychic, if you're a sensitive, if you're an empath, if you're a medium. Do not use your abilities as a tarot reader to wield power over others, okay? It's not a sword of power. It is a gift. It is a gift from the divine to be able to read for other people, to use your intuition and use your innate abilities in your relationship with the universe, with the divine, whatever faith you are, whether you believe in a higher power or not, but your relationship to the universal energies that help guide you often. Do not use your knowledge as a reader to hold something over your querent. Do not put yourself on a pedestal above your querent. Your querent is someone that you have to take care of and you have to nurture as a reader. I'm not saying you have to kiss their rear ends. I'm not saying you have to treat them namby-pamby or anything like that, but you have to respect them as an individual and not try and wield your abilities as having power over them or putting you in a superior position to them. It's an equal playing ground, okay? Reading tarot is a give and take. You have to be able to learn to ask the querent additional questions when you start seeing cards come up that aren't quite making sense. You have to have that relationship and be relatable enough to ask them for additional clarification if you are on the right track, okay? If they're sitting here like this, they're closed off, they're not going to give you any feedback. And that's when I usually am a little bit blunt and say, if you're not into this, we can do this some other time. I could tell, you're not really having a good day or something because something seems off, especially if they've been a client of yours for a while, and just reschedule. But never, ever, ever use your talent and your abilities as a weapon, okay? Every tarot reader, if you are reading for others, if you're just reading for yourself, this, you can treat yourself any old way you want to, that's, you do you. And especially if you charge for tarot readings, okay, if you ask for donations or you charge, okay, you can be very direct about stuff, but when things come up in the cards that can be really, really hard, you need to have, a tarot reader needs to be compassionate. You have to be understanding. You have to maintain a sense of humor, because then that lowers the guard of the querent and helps you build that relationship with them. And then they become more open to listen to what you're telling them that the cards are showing them, even though it might be hard for them to hear. You have to be patient. Not everybody's going to come around and see you as a ray of sunshine right off the bat, okay? You have to give your querent time to relax a little bit and get comfortable with you, okay? So you've got to have patience. You need to be grounded and centered. I always cleanse my space, cleanse myself, cleanse my deck, and do a grounding and centering meditation for about 10 minutes before I ever even pick up my deck of cards and start to read for anybody, okay? You have to maintain this even keel, because if you go off the deep end one way or the other and whatever, then you've kind of lost your relationship with that person at that moment in time, okay? You also have to remain focused. You have to be able to learn how to bring folks back around to something that they don't. You can keep trying to gently nudge them. Say, listen, this keeps coming up in your reading. You need to pay attention to this, this, and this. And then if they ignore it, that's on them. You can't do that. But you have to maintain your focus and don't go off on tangents about, crappy stuff that, your kids or your spouse did yesterday that has you mad. And that ruins the reading experience for your client or your querent who you're reading for. There are a couple of things that irritate me to no end. And this is readers, psychics, mediums who say that they, see a curse, a hex, a this, a that, an attachment, blah, 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 and then turn around and offer to help the client out at exorbitant amounts of money. I have known people in the community in my area who, for instance, had a reader do tarot readings. It would come up, oh, well, I see this dark entity around you and this and that and the other. And have you talked to so-and-so? She's a witch and she could help you remove this curse. And then that witch wants $5,000 to remove a curse from you. That is one of my pet peeves, okay? If you are reading, do not take advantage. This, again, goes back to that don't yield it like power over your client. I cannot stress to you enough. This is serious stuff. And it bothers me to no end. I started this channel because there were a lot of channels out there who would entice people to come in with some really slick, kind of videos and this and that and the other, and then charge them exorbitant amounts of money to, join their Patreon to get training. And people were spending literally thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars to learn about Wicca and witchcraft, spell crafting, and things like that. And my high priestess, did I pay for my training? Absolutely. We paid anywhere from $10 to $20 a class, and that basically covered the charges of her having, the lights and everything on in the shop for the extra 2 or 3 hours for the class, and the printing costs of the materials that she printed out for us to put in our Book of Shadows. It was a nominal amount of money. It was an offset, and it was a way for the students to show their appreciation for her, and we gave her our respect because we showed her that her time, her money, and her effort was worth something. But she did not charge us thousands of dollars to walk through the door to train with her. So don't treat clients like that. If you start charging, number one, you better make sure that you're really good. You can go out there and become a certified professional tarot reader. There are professional tarot associations that actually test you to make sure that you know what you are talking about, okay? If you're going to do that, all fine and good. But do not take advantage of your clients, okay? Don't do it in any way. And I'm speaking as a reader, as a psychic, as a medium, as a witch. I have never charged, even as a paranormal investigator, and cleansing a house, getting rid of really malevolent kind of stuff from a home or a business. I have never, ever, ever charged for my services. If people were insistent about, giving me money or something like that, I told them, you pick an amount, donate it to your favorite charity instead. Okay? That's how you can honor me and my abilities that, I'm reading for you, I'm doing an investigation on a business or whatever. I would hope anyone that starts charging does take the time to make sure that you are reading within your abilities and that you charge a fair price. You deserve to be compensated, but you also need to keep in mind your ability level, okay? I have had readings from some of the most talented tarot readers in the world. Dorothy Morrison was one of them. If you have been in the pagan community for very long, you know who Dorothy Morrison is. She developed and illustrated her own tarot deck called the Whimsical Tarot. She has written numerous books that were published by Llewellyn's. She has her own shop it's called The Wicked Witch. She makes her own coffee. It's called Wicked Witch Coffee. And she does beautiful altar cloths. But she is one of the most gifted tarot readers, and I paid $50 to get a tarot reading that lasted almost an hour with her. And she didn't charge any more than that, and that was more than fair. I would have paid 3 times the price to have her do a reading for me. But she charged me $50. She didn't gouge me. She could have got a lot more just based on her name and her reputation. But that was what she considered to be a fair price. So before you start thinking that you're going to make oodles and oodles of money off doing this, keep your abilities in mind, keep your ego in check, and do the right things. Okay? So with that, my friends, that's what I've got for tarot ethics and ethics in general when it comes to, divination, psychic abilities, mediumship, and your abilities as a witch. So there we have it, my friends. I hope you found this information useful. I hope you're doing well considering everything that's going on in the world right now. If you like the video, please give it a thumbs up. Be sure to subscribe to the Witch's Cauldron and be part of our Cauldron Coven here. Also, in the description box, I often get asked about book recommendations, recommendations for tarot decks, etc., etc., etc. In the description box, I do have an Amazon affiliated store. Okay. If you purchase anything from my store, I do earn a small commission off your sale. Okay. Off what you purchase. Those links, I have a store for the US Amazon and for the Amazon in UK. I have not set up my Canadian site yet. I need to get going on that. But if you're in the UK or the US and you want to see what books I recommend, different kinds of stuff, my altar where I get a lot of my candles, my supplies, my gemstones, things like that, books that I love, music that I listen to, and even some of my ritual clothing that I have purchased. It's been off of Amazon, and everything is right there. All of my favorite stuff is right there in my Amazon store. You can go and look. You don't have to feel obligated. You can go out of Amazon, find the product, not use my link to purchase, and that is perfectly fine. But if you do choose to use the links in my Amazon store, I do thank you and appreciate you supporting my channel. Okay, with that, my friends, thank you so much. And as I always say, merry we did meet, merry we will part until we merry meet again. Be well and walk in love and light, everybody. Bye.